things will work then is that as questions come in, you'll moderate those, Patty, and just give me a heads up on some of the ones that come in.
Yeah.
And you'll see probably a number of them firing in, and we'll take the ones that are the most requested at the top, I suppose, right?
Okay. And you want them as they come? You don't want to necessarily save them all for the end?
Well, you know what? I'm going to let you go ahead and make that decision as they come in. And my guess is that you're going to be getting quite a few on certain topics or something. And if it's good time to explain a few things, we'll go ahead and do that. Okay. So that is the intention here. So the next silly question is, and we don't really have a way of tallying this up. That's why it'd been neat if this does polls. But how many people are working from home versus actually sneaking into the office? That's going to be an interesting number these days. And so that is my caveat for the day. If you hear children in the background, we're all at home.
Yeah. Well, Dave, I'll go ahead and get started with some housekeeping rules.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and welcome everybody to today's NCLUG Tech Talk. And today we're focusing on controlling the displays of design for civil designers with Bentley, with Dave Meyer. And I'd just like to go over a couple of housekeeping rules before we get started. As you know, I guess this presentation this will be a presentation style, so I'm going to mute everybody. So if you have a question or you want to talk to the presenter, just raise your hand or put your question in the chat box. And I'll probably be fielding those. If it's something I think that's pertinent to what he's discussing right then, maybe I'll ask him. If not, we'll probably save some of them till the end of the presentation for Q&A. We will be recording this webinar, and we'll share the link after the event. We are offering PDHs to those who registered on our website, so just be sure to go and make sure you're registered so we can link your license number with your registration today that it will give us. And we'll be sending out PDH receipts to those who attended. We might be a little bit behind in those, but we hope to have them out to you soon for some of the past events that we've held. And so just stay tuned. At the end, we'll be doing another $50 gift card drawing to one lucky winner. And so now I'll go ahead and turn it over to our presenter today, Dave Meyer of Bentley. Thanks for joining us, Dave.
Well, hey, thanks for having me. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at things about displaying geometry with a bit of a civil twist to it. So we are in MicroStation. This is MicroStation CONNECT Edition, update 14. Okay, I understand 15 is on its way, but 14 is the latest and greatest, unless they snuck 15 out there and I didn't know about it. That being said here, the drawing that we have up, I actually shipped, well, let me say some of the information that you see on the screen actually shipped with the Select series. So it's an oldie but goodie here, and it's a nice data set. And what we have here is some geometry that's live. We've got some geometry that's referenced. Some of that geometry is actually a terrain model, some MicroStation terrain. So understand that we want to take a look at some things as far as general display rules and that kind of stuff. Maybe touch upon some levels, and certainly a little bit with this notion of referencing and working on references and activating them and all that sort of fun stuff. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Of course, after this particular file, we've got a couple of other examples that we're going to be looking at, and we'll be taking a look at some 3D stuff as far as creating sections through terrain, maybe some point cloud stuff, and display rules. So that's the agenda. So here we are, and what we've got in this particular drawing, and just let's take a look at it. I'm going to come over here to the Home tab right there, and I'm going to take a look at my references to start right here. And what you're going to see here is we have 3 different references here. Okay. Now, as far as displaying references is concerned, one of the things to note is that we do have a highlight mode in here. If you have it set to none, you can click on the references and nothing happens. But we can go ahead and take a look at boundaries if we want when we select a reference, so we can see which reference it is we're dealing with. You'll notice that when I selected the survey right here, the boundaries, you can see the outside edge, but you can also see an area that was masked and cut out and is not displaying. That's in here. All right, let's click on another one. And in this particular case, you can just see the edges. This one doesn't have any masks. Now, we've got the option of highlighting the boundaries or the actual geometry right here. Or if you'd rather, you can go with both right there. So you can see a little bit of everything. So that's kind of a handy thing. Folks miss this on occasion, and my guess is that a good chunk of you know about it. But just in case you didn't, it's kind of a handy thing. All right, now other things to do with the display of references have to do with this rascal right over here. This is the reference display, and this of course is in the reference file dialog. And we can toggle the display of references on and off just by going ahead and clicking here. All right, now just so you know, a lot of the items that you see over here in our columns up here are also, well, guess what? They're right down here. So I could actually go ahead and grab that guy right there. It's the same thing as clicking over here. It is possible to control the display of a number of reference files in a single shot right there just by going ahead and selecting and clicking all of them. All right, so that's what we've got right now. Okay, so we've got some references. I'm going to turn them all off just for a moment here. And then we've got some actual live geometry. All right, now when it comes to our live geometry, okay, controlling its display isn't quite as simple as just turning a reference off. We actually would have to take a look at some things like, well, levels. So if I go over here to my level manager right here, you can see that it would appear that I have a number of levels, okay? And let me go ahead and just organize those by the levels that are used right there. It would appear that we've got some defaults, some other odds and ends here. What's going on is that levels that are actually being used will go ahead and have that dot next to them. Now, used doesn't necessarily mean there's anything that you can see on a level. Sometimes you can have something that's used and it's just in a cell that hasn't been placed. So that would be something like a shared cell definition. All right, so this is where we actually set up the behaviors of levels, okay, as far as, you know, what color they would be showing, line types, line styles, that sort of thing, whether it's locked, whether it's, you know, frozen. All that can happen here in the level manager, but this guy's kind of big and bulky. And so what we can also do when it comes to levels is we can hit this guy right over here. And this is level display. Level display is a little bit more compact. And we can shrink it down a little bit farther here. And we can go through here and just start turning things on and off. So for instance, I'm going to make default level my active level right there. And I think I've got an automobile or two in here. And I can go ahead and toggle those on and off right from here. Now, there are a few things that we should be concerning ourselves with when it comes to the level display. One of those is this notion of the hierarchy right up here. And what this does is this allows me to actually address levels down to individual references. Okay, now my references are all turned off at the moment, so they're not available to me right here. But I could go ahead and turn a reference back on. And if I came over here and said, hey, yeah, let's go ahead and turn on the survey right there. Okay, all of a sudden, hey, there's the survey. And these are the items that I can go ahead and toggle on and off in the survey. So we can get to specific levels in specific references. All right, now something else that you might find interesting, and I'm going to go ahead and toggle this off for a second right here, is that when we are working with levels, there are some fun tools that you might have missed. And so if I go ahead and I right click in my level display right here, you'll notice that there's some things like all on and all off, or you can go ahead and invert your selection, or you can do an off by element or all except element. So I could say, well, hey, let's turn off everything except a particular element. And I'm going to go ahead and pick the cars right here. And it looks like there might have been a few other things out there. That is in the level automobiles, and it would appear that this guy over here is on the default level, which is my active level. Now, generally in MicroStation, the default level is on in all your views all the time. And I say default level. Maybe I should say the active level is always on in all views all the time. That's probably better. Default is currently the active level. I could turn the default stuff off just by making automobile the active level, and whatever was left there is now. This is only the stuff that is in the automobile level right there. So the takeaway here is we've got a couple different panels here. The hierarchy allows us to address levels in specific references, okay? And then of course we can go ahead and select those, and then if we right click in here, we've got some wonderful things that allow us to quickly turn things on and off. I'm going to go ahead and do an invert now. And what was on was off, and what was off was on, except for the stuff that of course is in my active level, and which was automobile at the moment. So it didn't do exactly what I wanted it to do. So once again, here, we'll go ahead and do the invert now. There we go. As it is. All right. I'm going to go ahead and hit all on. All right. Off by element is often rather handy. So what I can do is I can say, well, gee, I'd like to turn a few things off. And I could say, yeah, I don't need that old alignment there. I'll turn that one off. And a few of these old other items here, existing pavement, we'll turn some of that business off as well. And I just went ahead and clicked on it, and it went off. Everything on that particular level went off. All right. All right. Patty, are there any questions coming in? Does anybody have any thoughts or ideas that they would like to throw out there? I'm going to go with that's a no.
Yeah.
Okay.
No questions.
Okay. So if you're a MicroStation Pro, a lot of this stuff is probably old hat to you. Now, sometimes what can happen though is, we end up, and I'm going to turn on a few other items right here. We end up working in a situation where, wow, there's a whole lot of stuff out here. And I'm not sure what to do, but it's a mess. Okay. And there's only a few items that I'm really interested in working with at the time. So we have another way of dealing with a group of items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with a selection set right here. So I'm going to use the element selection tool, and I'm going to say, the stuff I'm really interested in is just right here in the intersection. And so I'm going to go ahead and basically do a overlap style selection, and I'm just dragging from the right to the left side here. And it went ahead and selected everything there. And what I can do with that, I can say, well, there's a few things maybe that I'm not interested in. For instance, I want to turn off this particular automobile right here, but I want to keep that one right there. And I might want to just turn off this thing right there and that right there. And maybe I don't want that right there. And so I've got a selection set. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a right press. Okay, and I'm going to set what's called a display set right here. And what a display set allows me to do is work with just a particular group of elements, okay? Now, they can be on all sorts of different levels, all right? But this is a handy way to work. Now, this is especially useful when you're getting into 3D and you've got a lot of noise that you want to filter out. So you might take a look at something from the side view, put those items in a selection set, and then return to the top view and go ahead and isolate those items, okay, by using a display set. Now, the cool thing about a display set, and a display set is kind of a temporary thing here, all right? It can go ahead and you can change it and you can add items to it. I'm going to go ahead and open up my view attributes. That display set can be toggled on and off right here. Okay, so I can go ahead and toggle that, and would you look at that? Pretty nifty stuff. Pretty nifty stuff. All right. So that's a few odds and ends here in just normal 2D MicroStation sort of stuff. Now, there are some other interesting things that we can do in 2D MicroStation land as well. And at the moment, I do believe everything is turned on, but just to make sure, I'm going to type in a Control E and say, what's Control E do? It brings up my level display. So if you ever wanted to pull this up, it is Control E for to see every level. And I'm going to just turn on a few other items here. Okay. And wow, hey. We could probably just do it this way too. All on. There's a whole bunch of stuff right there. Okay. Now I'm trying to remember where I was headed with this. Ah, I forgot already, darn it. Anyway, so we were able to turn some things on there. Yes, I remember where I was headed with this. I want to go ahead and maybe highlight certain areas of what's going on here. And then, shall we say, fade some other things into the background. Now, we've got a cool tool over here, and it's called a clip volume. And guess what? Clip volume actually works in 2D. Clip volume, even though it says volume, works in 2D. And you say, okay, well, I'm kind of interested in the intersection right here. And so I can pop over here to the clip volume, and I can say, you know what? I would like to create a clip volume, and I'm going to apply a clip volume by a polygon. And so I'm going to draw that polygon. And hit close. All right. Now, that's kind of like clipping a reference file. Okay. But it is a little bit different. Now, this polygon that's out there, let's take a look at what we've got here. I've got a clip volume, and I can toggle that on and off. All right, and this polygon actually divides my drawing up into a couple of different areas. And in the 2D world, we basically have an inside and an outside. All right, and I'm going to pull this open here, see if I can slide down a little bit, and that's giving me a little bit of a fit there. Let me do it this way. And by the way, the shortcut to pull up your view attributes, if you ever want to do that, is Control B. That's the keyboard shortcut. So Control B for better viewing. And I was trying to get to this business down here. So when there is a clip volume present, what happens is you will see these clip volume settings here. And you'll notice that in 2D, you have a forward view, which is essentially the inside, and an outside right here. And that's everything else. So you can go ahead and toggle those views. Now, one of the things that's kind of fun about this is that you can actually have these display in a different manner. So if I go to my outside right over here, I have a display style that is basically picking up the from view here, but I'm not stuck with that. So what I can do is I can say, well, hey, what is the outside display style supposed to look like? And in this particular case, it's just kind of muted in gray like that. And I guess that's not so bad, is it? And it may be what you want for the operation you are performing. And I'm just going to go ahead and move this around and adjust some things here. And by the way, you'll notice that it updates dynamically. If I can grab that handle there, there we go. Like so. Now, if you don't want this boundary out here to display, one of the pet tricks with it is to actually set it to a construction class element right there. And now you don't see it any longer, but you could adjust it in a secondary view. And in this view over here, I have constructions turned on, and I'm able to go ahead and make adjustments to that. Oops, did I grab it? There we go. Or did we? There it is. Took a moment to catch up. All right. So those are some of the things that we can do in the 2D realm with clip volumes. Now, once we get to 3D, there's actually quite a bit more that we can do as well. All right. All right. So I'm going to turn my clip volume off, and I'm going to arrange things so that I've got the things on and off that I like, and then I'm going to create what we call a shade view. So there may be a few different things I need to tweak in here. By the way, I may not like the way my terrain is showing itself. Now, this happens to be in a reference, and so I'm going to take a small departure here. I'm going to go into the reference file and tweak the terrain. Okay, and then I'm going to return and create a shade view. Okay, I'll return and create a shade view, and then we'll do some stuff with that. All right, so not entirely happy with the terrain. Now, we can, if we want, this isn't a reference. You can see it's just a BSI 400 W01 terrain.tgn. I could activate this right here. If I were to activate it right here, I would be working on a 3D in a 2D environment. I'm not sure that's really what I would like to do in this case. So when you activate a reference, you're actually working on that reference from the current file. The CAD managers are all cringing out there. All right, but it can be done. But I'm going to go ahead and exchange it for a moment here, and we're going to just take a look at some of the things that we can do with displaying a generic terrain element in MicroStation. And I say generic terrain, it's probably not a bad way to call that. It is just a plain old terrain element, okay? MicroStation does support a basic terrain element. There's also a scalable terrain element, which we'll look at in a little bit. We can't do a whole lot with it in MicroStation except tweak its display, okay? So we're not going to be creating any cuts and fills or anything on it. But let's just take a look at what it is we can do right here. Now, I do have some geometry in here that I am going to turn off. And of course, an easy way to do that is just to right press on it like so. And I'm going to say, oh yeah, level off. Boom, there it is. And then I've got my terrain here, and I'm going to go ahead and do a right press. That's a right click and hold for a moment, and then go to the properties for it right here. And let's just take a look at some of the things that we can do with this. Did it not grab it for me? Well, there it is now. So with terrain, let's take a look at some of the things that we can do right off the top. So I've got calculated features display here, and let's say, you know what, I might not be interested in the minor contours for the moment. So I can go ahead and turn those off, and you can see, yep, it immediately updates. I might want to turn triangles on. You say, ooh, that's kind of ugly. I'll turn my major contours off. But with these triangles here, I can actually get a sense of really what's out there as far as the bare earth is concerned. And to get a little better sense of what's going on, I'm going to come over here to my view attributes, and I'm going to change my display style right here. And I'm going to pop down to just smooth to start right there. And that'll give me a sense of, oh, hey, yeah. You can see that I've got some grading and things where my road is right there, and then just the rest of the terrain. All right. Now, we do have some other options as well. Kind of turn some things around here. We could come over here and take a look at something like thematic height. Now, what thematic height is going to give us, and when it decides to cooperate with me here, and it is not cooperating. Oh, there it's coming in. Let me zoom in and zoom out again. It's taking a little bit of time. Now, I don't know if it's my graphics card or something else going in, but I do have all this weirdness right over here. But thematic height is going to give me basically color by elevation, right? And so I could go to like a front view right here, and you can see, oh, all right. That's what's going on. This is something that is tweakable, and it does look like I've capped it out at a certain elevation. And we can go to our thematic height right here and say, you know what, I'd really like to kind of adjust that a little bit. And I could say, yep, thematic height. Let's see, what do we want that to look at like? And I'm using a red to blue right here. It's giving me my range. And I could say, you know what, let's try something a little bit different. Let's try, the Sea Mountain topographic right there. So you can see that we've got a different color scheme going. And let's see, what else might we want to do with that? I don't know. Let's take a look. So I'm going to pop back to my thematic display right here. And go with some isolines in there. And wait for it to catch up here.
Dave, somebody asked, can you reverse the colors in the thematic height? Low point to
yes,
red, high
yes,
point.
you can, and that's a bit of and that has been a kind of a, shall we say, pet peeve for a while. So I'm going to say I can go ahead and just change my numbers here. So that's 1180 and that's 1187. Is that all the range I got? Or 1087. So I'm going to put 1180 over here. And then we'll go to so did I get that right? Did I do it? I'm not sure I did. But yes, we can go ahead and tweak that.
And they also want to know, is there a way to go back to the original file after you use Exchange?
Yes, there is. There is certainly that. And my isolines don't seem to be, well, now I'm getting them after I turn them off. Stepped fast. Let's go back to the isolines. Aren't working for me today, so I'm not sure what happened to that, but now I can see the changes in there. Okay, so it looks like I've got some maybe display card issues or something going on, and a little embarrassing, but that's the way it goes. All right, so anyways, there's a couple of other thematic items we can use. Thematic hillshade over here can be useful. Not sure that that's doing a whole lot for me, but that can go ahead and pull out some things. And again, I do seem to have a display thing going here, and I'm not sure why it's not behaving nicely, but it is not. And then, of course, there's the thematic slope as well. And I can see that I've got some portions of this that just aren't updating. All right. That being said, though, to get back to a previous drawing, and by the way, I am going to set this back. I'm going to do a right click on that, and let me go back to my wireframe here for a moment. And I'm going to go to my properties right here. And I'm going to maybe nix the triangles for a minute, and we'll turn on our contours, our major and minor contours right there. And let's see, is there anything we want to do as far as tweaking those? We can say, you know what, that line weight might be just a tad heavy. We'll bring that back right there, and maybe make the color a little bit more subtle. And then for our minor contours, we might do something a little different there as well. Okay. All right, so I've made my changes. Let me go ahead, and I think I'm happy with that. And then if I want to get back to my previous drawing, that's what this little arrow down in the lower left-hand corner does. All right, so MicroStation.
Now, did you hit save settings on that?
I did. That
okay.
was just for me later. Okay.
Okay.
That really wasn't necessary. It should keep the settings I had right here. But I'm going to go ahead and hit this arrow right here, and this will take me back to the previous drawing. Now, you got to be careful with this. This will actually move you around between models within the same drawing, okay, or the same DGN file, all right, or it can take you back and forth between files. Now, one of the things that you need to be cautious with is that as you move between files, you're actually opening those files up and closing them, and you can lose your ability. Well, you will lose your undo ability at that point. So one of the things that you can do when you're activating a reference in place and working on it, that gives you the ability to not lose those undos and redos. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go with no work set right here, and we'll go ahead and open it. And we're back to where we were, and you can see that, oh, okay, some changes there. I think that's all right. All right, now, I kind of like where things are at right here. I've made some changes to that. What's actually showing is okay. But I might want to, take a look at this section of the road up here, and be able to get back to that very quickly and very easily. So I'm going to create something that's called a saved view. Now, a saved view is a record of everything that's going on with a view, okay? And basically all your view settings, all right? What's turned on, what's turned off, and of course, where you're looking as well. And to create a saved view, well, we just come right over here to the views right there. And I'm going to say, yep, I want to create a saved view. All right. And then I'll get my create saved view dialog right here. Now, methods from view basically says, hey, your saved view boundary is going to be the same thing as your view boundary. Or you could just say, you know what, I'm going to go with from 2 points right here. And the type of view, this is actually a tag that's going to pop up in the Explorer, okay? And it allows us to get to certain types of views a little bit later on, quickly and easily. I could say it's a plan view. I could say it's a general view. It's certainly not a section or an elevation, okay? I'll just leave it at general for right now. And the name of it, I'm going to call it Road 1. Just like that. All right, now I can create a drawing when I create the saved view. I'm not going to do that this time, but if I were, it would actually go ahead and create a drawing model. Okay, it would create a drawing model. Not interested in that. but I am interested in saying, okay, for starters, let's just say, here's the area I'm interested in. Boom. There it is. And now I have a saved view. And you said, really? And I said, yeah. And I said, okay, well, can you show me what it looks like? And if I pop over here, you can see, yep, there it is, road 1. And if I were to go ahead and say, hey, let's go ahead and restore that, you can see that, yep, it zoomed in right to that area. Now, that's all well and good and everything, but it's kind of, shall I say, nebulous. So what we're going to do next is we're going to make it a little less nebulous so we can see what's actually going on with that. And I'm going to say, yeah, you know what, this road 1, I'd like to go ahead and show it. So I'm going to turn on the show button right there. And you say, well, what does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean a whole lot of anything just yet, but let me show you something else. I'm going to pop over here to my presentation area, right, in my view attributes, and I'm going to turn on construction class elements right there. And now all of a sudden, oh, hey, look at that. Okay, there's some of the construction class things I was using earlier, and I've got this new item out here, which is a saved view boundary. Now this guy right here, I'm not sure I'm terribly interested in that one, so I'll let him go. Oop, is he a part of that? Did I have that checked? I might have, darn it. Okay, let me go ahead and create the saved view again. And here we are, saved view, road 1. I don't think I did have it attached. Let me hit the show right there, and I did mess that up because I didn't do 2 points, but this is the view. And so when you have your construction class elements on and you have the show over here, you'll see that saved view bounding box. And this can be adjusted. You're saying, oh, really? I said, yeah. And you can move it around. You're saying, okay, why would I want to do such a thing? Well, think about it this way. Let's say this guy right here, I'm going to move him up over here for a moment. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'd really like to align this with my road right up here. And so I could do something like this. I could say, all right, this thing right here, I'm going to actually put my origin over here. And I'm going to say, you know what? It's going to come over this direction, maybe 300 feet. I'm going to go up here and I'll say 200 feet. Okay. You're saying, okay, so now I've got a view that's 300 feet by 200 feet. What are you going to do with that? Well, this handles like any other MicroStation object. Okay. And so I could do something along these lines. I could say, you know, I'm just thinking I might grab something like my move command right here. And I'm going to put that right there at that corner. I'm going to grab my rotate tool and I'm going to rotate by 3 points, let's say. So I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to rotate this thing from that corner right there. My current condition is it goes up to there, and I'm going to basically align it with that right there. Now, I know in your open roads and all that kind of fun stuff, you've got tools to deal with all this. But if you have MicroStation, there is a manual process by which we can actually use these saved views to create sheets and such. And you're saying, oh, really? And I said, yeah. All right, so now I have a saved view over here. It's called Road 1, and I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this. I have got this thing right here, which is my alignment. And what I'm going to do, and I think some of you probably are already anticipating this, is that I'm going to come over here to my array command right here. I'm going to use the along path. I'm going to say, you know what, distance is going to be, oh, let's say 260 feet or 280 feet. It'll give us, let's go to 260. We're going to rotate the items as they're copied right here. And I'm going to say, yep, this is what we're going to array, and we're going to array it right down this item right here. You said, okay, fine. What does that get me? And you will notice I have a number of saved views over here, and they went ahead and numbered themselves. He said, well, that's very nice. Now what? Well, each one of these saved views, okay, is going to take on the characteristics of the original view, except for it's going to be looking in a different area. Okay, now, what can I do with that? Well, what I can do with that is I can say, you know what, I'd like to create a brand new sheet. Now, I'm going to pop over here to my models right here, and I do have a sheet model right here. Doesn't have much in it, but one of the cool things that we can do with a saved view is we can actually go to the saved views right here, grab something like the road 1 right here, drag it over and drop it right here, and it's going to attach it as a reference. All right, now attachment method recommended. Boy, we can try it, but sometimes it just doesn't work for me. Okay, so I'm going to go with the interactive here, and this just gives me control over everything. So I'll hit OK, and it says, detail scale 1 inch equals 20 feet. That might work. We'll see. I've got a road 1, synchronize everything about the view, all properties right there. Drawing boundary, I'm not going to worry about a drawing boundary, so I'm going to say none at the moment. And let's see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And boy, 1 inch equals 20 feet was pretty darn close. Pretty darn close, but probably not quite close enough right there. Okay, but not bad, not bad. It was close, but maybe not quite. Maybe not quite. All right, so I might have to come back over here and say, yeah, about that. We'll pop over to our attachments right here, and you will see that, hey, this is indeed a reference. And I'm just going to go ahead and change the scale right here. I can do it, just say, let's make it 1 inch equals 30 feet right there. Okay, and there it is. All right, an alternate way of doing that, by the way, would be to just go ahead and right click on the reference right here and go to the settings, and you can just tweak the detail scale as well. Same thing, same thing. All right, so, well, that's not too bad. And so I've got this sheet. It says it is road resurface dash 100. Probably should have been dash 1 or something like that. Easy enough to tweak though. So I could come over here and say, oh yeah, let's see, that was C100 right there. And let's just say that that is 101. Okay. And I'm not going to worry about that too much there. There it is. It did update over here. And by the way, I'm just using text fields to have that happen. Now, that's all well and good and everything. And if I open up another view over here, I'll have 2 views. Let me go ahead and go to my tile, those. And in view number 1, we will go ahead and take a look at the default model right there. Okay, and so what I'm seeing here is that business right there. Now, that was kind of fun. Now, I could do the same thing to create a whole bunch of other sheets. All right. Again, this is automated in your vertical applications, but if you have just MicroStation, you can still get away with some partial automation. And so one of the things that I can do is I can say, you know what, let's do another sheet here. I'm going to go back over to my models right here, and I'm going to say, yeah, let's go ahead and copy that. And I'm just going to say that this is 102. I'm not going to worry about a description. And so this is 102. All right. problem is it's not looking in the right spot. You said it's not, and I said no, it's not. But guess what I can do? Saved views, well, they are involved with the references, and if I come over here to my attach right here, you can see that under orientation it says road 1, but I can simply click here and say, you know what, let's have that one be road 2, just like that. Okay, and yes, I could do road 3 or road 4.
Can you independently turn levels off and on in the save views, the same as a design model?
Yes, you can. Okay, so at the moment this is being driven by the saved view. Okay, so if I pop back over to this guy, and you know what? Let's actually change this guy down to, oh, let's see, how many did I have here? I'm thinking if I go to maybe 4 or 5 here, I should get the intersection. Seriously? Okay, maybe it was 3. Not sure that cut where it should have. Okay, so here's 3. And it looks like there's a lot of stuff in there that I might not have wanted. So we'll go back to our master model here. And you can see the view right here. Yeah, there's some stuff in there. So what I can do here is I can say, you know what? I would like to, turn a lot of this stuff off. So I'm going to just do a right click and go level off right here. And I'm going to say, yep, don't want this or this stuff right here. Okay, and by the way, let me move that out of the way so we can see what's happening over here. I think I wanted the intersection view over here, so we'll come back over to that was 102. Make sure that we got the right sheet there. Okay, so this is the one with all the junk in it, right? So a lot of extra geometry and things that I might not really want to see. And so I'm going to be working in the master model over here. And I did a right click and said, hey, level off. And we're going to turn that business off right there. And let's see, anything else we want to turn off? I'll turn off some of that as well. And heck, I'll even turn off the contours. Okay, so now we have a much cleaner look at what's going on here. All right. How do I get that to update over there? Well, if you were to take a look in your saved views over here, okay, this guy is which one? That's road 3. And I could say, you know what? I would like to go ahead and update that saved view. So update saved view settings. And it's going to say saved view road 3, camera position. Don't really need to update the camera position. But I'm going to update everything else about it. And I'm going to select this view right here. And as soon as I did you notice that all of that stuff updated for that particular save view? All right, now had I had my original setup nice, I wouldn't have to go through and tweak those. But yes, the idea behind the saved view is that there is a link in between here and the sheet, and what I change here will, in the saved view after I've saved it, will actually affect what's going on the sheet. That includes the area you're looking. So in this particular case, yes, I'm looking in quite the different area. So Now I'm looking in a different area. One of the things about moving this around is if you do small moves, it'll actually move it on the sheet. If you do large moves, it will not. So I'll pull him back over to right about here. There it is. So that is the joy and happiness of a saved view. Thoughts on that?
No questions.
Okay. Well, so those are a few things about controlling some display. I want to take a look at some other things, though, as well. And so I'm going to bounce out of this drawing here. And let me go ahead and see if I can't pull up. Broward County. All right. Broward County isn't too close to where you're at, but it's closer than I am. So here we have a county. One of the things I'm doing here, by the way, this particular geometry is georeferenced. And what I mean by georeferenced is that, well, here, let's come over here to our utilities. We have a geographic coordinate system assigned to this particular drawing. One of the benefits with Connect is that these days, when you are actually signed in through your connection, okay, you have the ability to actually stream geometry from Bing Maps, okay, to your drawing. All right, and in this case, I have a background map and I have it set at 70% transparency right there. At the moment, it's a hybrid. I could just go to a street map right here. And you can see, oh, hey, there's a street map. All right, now say, well, what is it that you got going on here, Dave? Well, with this particular street map, I do have, well, not the street map itself, with this particular file, and I'll just turn it off for a moment. I actually have a number of traffic signals in here. Okay, now these are all cells, all right, but each one of these cells in MicroStation actually has some metadata that is associated with it. Okay, now this got pulled in from a file. And the type of information that I have with this, and this could come in from something like like a shape file, okay, some GIS type of stuff. But the information I have with this, I'm going to go ahead and do a right press on it and go to properties right here. And it is telling me I've got some item data that's associated with this, and I've got a major street and a minor street, a little bit about the city or township that's there, device type, and then a traffic count that is going through that. Now, I'm going to make this stuff just a little bit bigger here. So these are all in as annotation cells. A little bit small there. I'm going to just bump it up a bit. So my annotation scale is currently at 1 inch equals 500. And I'm going to make it 1 inch equals 1,000. And we'll see if we can't make that a little bigger. There we go. So we can see things a little bit better here. All right. I'll go ahead and turn on the background map again here. We'll go with the aerial just because. And it'll take a moment for it to stream in, but there it is. All right. Well, that's kind of nifty, kind of fun. But one of the things that we get when we have metadata associated with our geometry is that we can redisplay that data according to a display rule. You're saying a display rule. What the heck is a display rule? Well, if I pop over here to my view attributes right here, you will notice that I've got this thing called a display style. And I'm going to hit the little dot, dot, dot right there. next to the display style, and I'm going to pull up the display styles dialog. Now, when you open up a drawing, you know, even a brand new one, you'll see that there will be a lot of display styles that you get for free. Well, they come along with it, I guess is probably a better way to put it. These are being read in from DGN libraries and such. So I do have a number of things that are out here already as far as display styles are concerned. I actually happen to have one that is called traffic. Now I made traffic and it's just determining how geometry is going to show up. Okay, and it's not too terribly exciting at the moment. There's really not a whole lot going on except for one thing, and that is it has a rule associated with it. Now, if I were to come back here to plain old ordinary everyday wireframe, okay, there's no rule associated with that one. I could add a rule to it if I wanted to. But we'll go back here to the traffic, and I do have in my display style called traffic a rule called traffic. And if I take a look at the rules, and I'll do that by hitting this button right here, I have a couple of different rules in here. I've got one called by city, and I've got another one called traffic right there. And traffic just happens to be, hey, you know, I have got a rule that says, hey, if there are certain number of vehicles that go through this particular element a day, it ends up being this particular color. You're saying, oh, really? I said, yep, that's what's going on here. Now, we've got ways of generating that pretty easily, so I could come over here to the generation, and I could say, hey, I want to pick a property, and I could come down here and say, yeah, what kind of property am I looking for? And I could go looking for something out here. Oh, good grief, what do I got here? I've got roads, I've got signs and signals. Oh, wait, right there. And I've got a traffic count right there. And I can go through and generate and make something. And so it's actually going through all of these and saying, hey, yep, you've got a range from 874 to 75,000 a day right there. So that's essentially what's going on here. We set this up, and then what's nifty about it is once we go ahead and apply this particular display style, what you will see is, and I'll just do that over here, I'll just grab the traffic right there. And it is supposed to be recoloring all my stuff. Did I not grab it? I did. And why isn't it recoloring things? And the answer is, I don't know. I might have to come back in and put these in as points. But it is, and I might have had something going on with the element type with that right there. But that is the idea. And try by city. Ha! Let's see if I've got that one set up right.
Dave, does this work with Google Earth metadata?
It does not work with Google Earth metadata. Sorry to say. And I'm not sure why it's not working with this at the moment, and that just bugs the heck out of me. So I've obviously broke something in here somewhere. And I don't know what it was I broke.
Well, we're going right on 1 o'clock.
Okay.
I don't know if you wanted to allow folks to ask questions or.
Yeah, go ahead. I might have enough. Any questions?
If you have questions, you can just type them in the chat or raise your hand, and I'll call on you.
By the way, guys, it does work. I just don't know what I broke. You said, yeah, sure it does. Okay.
Well, Dave, we appreciate you taking your time with us
Okay.
today. And we did host the drawing. The winner of today's drawing is Joy Sadler. So we'll reach out to you about your $50 gift card. And then just a reminder, we did record the session, so we'll be posting that soon up on the webinar. I know a few people had some issues maybe with the lag, so hopefully maybe you can go back and just view the presentation. Hopefully it doesn't lag, because it didn't lag for me when I was recording it, so hopefully that came through clear. We'll be sending out notices for your PDH receipts soon. So with that, we hope to have some more webinars coming up. Right now, I don't think we have any officially booked, but we're looking to get some of those on book. But I would encourage you to go. Bentley's Year in Infrastructure is like October 20th, 21st, and they've got a bunch of sessions out there. So I encourage you to go to their website and check that out and register for some of those sessions. And that's all I have for y'all today. And thank y'all for joining us. And if you got any suggestions or anything, please just email us at events@nclug.com. We'll be glad to take your questions. And I don't know, Dave, if you have a few more little things you want to show, if anybody wants to stay on, you're welcome to kind of keep going if you got some other cool tips or something for us.
Well, here's one. In this particular file, what I have is a line of sight along a roadway here, and what we see here is lines that are they're capped off at like 500 feet or so. But in this case, you can see that as we go down here, the length of them is actually changed, or the color of them is actually changing with the length, and that is using a display style. So you can see basically how far ahead you can see right here based on color and the length, and that is done again via a display style. Okay, and that display style actually happens to be attached directly to these elements that are out here. Okay, some of the other things that we were going to do with this, this was kind of a fun little project. This was actually all done in MicroStation with some applets that helped generate the data and such. But we can see that, gee, we have a little bit of a dip in visibility here, and it has to do with that there's a little bit of a rise down here in the road that's not really immediately obvious. But if we ever wanted to see something like that, we can use what's called a clip volume to help us out with that. And I'm going to use a clip volume at this point. In here, I'm going to use what's called a fitted section, and I'm just going to go ahead and get the default here. What this gives us is the ability to create a section, in this case through a model, a reality mesh. And again, we're working in basic MicroStation here. This is a clip volume, and this clip volume has in 3D, we've got 4 components rather than the inside and outside that we do in a 2D world. I'm going to just turn off the forward for a moment, and you can see that, oh yeah, hey, look at that. There is the slice through the model. And this is something that we can go ahead and dynamically move. Okay, so it's something that can change. I'm going to turn things back on for a moment right here. And I'm going to turn on my forward view and even my back view there for a moment here. Go to a top. And the back is a little bit noisy right there. But clip volumes, okay, and I'm going to turn off my camera so I'm working in an ortho view here. But clip volumes like saved views are elements that we can manipulate. And so it is perfectly reasonable for me to do something like, let's pull this up a little bit here. And I'm going to come over just to normal old rotate right here and say, you know what, let's rotate this thing. And we'll do it by a couple points here. We'll kind of make it parallel to the road right there. And then we'll move it back a bit. Well, I got it decently-ish. Probably could go ahead and tweak it a little bit more. Now, one of the things that's kind of fun about this is that we can say, hey, MicroStation, line up on that for me. And I'm going to do a right press on it. And I'm going to align my view with the clip volume right there. And now we're looking at it from the back side there a little bit. And I will go ahead and turn on the back just for a moment. So you can see that right here is where we had our loss of forward sight. But let me clean up a little bit here. We'll turn off the forward and the back here. And the reason being, hey, look at that. There is indeed a little bit of a rise right there in the roadway. So it's another nifty tool that you can use in just plain old, ordinary, everyday MicroStation, and that is a clip volume. Okay. Questions about any of that? Anybody want to see anything else with this? I do have some more stuff with point clouds and that sort of thing in here. Again, what we're looking at in this particular case is a reality model. All right. Well, people are still hanging out, so I can talk a little while longer.
Yeah.
So let me go bounce over to another model over here. I think I have got one DTM and point cloud right here. Slightly different version of the same thing. And in this particular case, I do have a point cloud that was actually created via the reality model. There's also a digital terrain model in here. Now, the first go around, we did take a look at what it is we can do with terrain. So I'm thinking I might just go ahead and turn that one off. And I'm going to come over here to my reality modeling right here. And let's see. What was I wanting to do with that? Go over to my attachments right here. Scalable terrain. That's that guy right there. I'm just going to turn him off. And I think I'm in view 8 at the moment right there. All right. And now we're just left with another reference and a point cloud that's running over the top there. Now, point clouds have a lot of different sorts of data that's associated with them. So when you get a point cloud, they're massive. There are a bunch of points out there. And sometimes you get some color information with those points. Sometimes you get intensity information with those points. In this particular case, we didn't have a whole lot besides classification with the points. So when you have color, it's almost like think of it as almost like a 3D photo. You get a real sense of what's going on there. Intensity is basically the same sort of thing as a 3D photo, except you get that black and white look to it. And that intensity has to do with the strength of the return signal. Okay, but it does give you a kind of a black and white sort of image, if that's how you choose to render it. But once we have a point cloud, we can do a fair amount with displaying it. Now, this particular point cloud doesn't have any RGB values or any intensity. Okay, but it does have classification. So if I were to pop over here to classification right here, you can see that I have two classes in here. One of them is ground, okay, and the other one is other, okay. That's actually vegetation. Classification, just so you know, it's not a perfect science. It's kind of a best guess on what the software thinks an object might be. Okay, the best guesses are actually very often pretty darn decent. In this particular case, had to go through and manually pull out some trees and that sort of thing so that they did not get included in the terrain model that we eventually built from this right here. Okay, something else that we can do though with visualizing a point cloud is, we could say, hey, let's take a look at this as far as something like elevation. So I can say, yeah, let's take a look at it with elevation here, and this is something else that we can do. Now the elevation can be tweaked, okay, as far as how that's going to show. All right, and let me just pop over here. If you want to adjust it, we can just go ahead and do that from the properties right here. And I can say, well, yeah, elevation is on. What do you want your depth to be? And that's just how often that is going to cycle. I could say, well, let's move that out to 100 feet instead. And you can see that, oh, yep, there's a change. We can change our coloration. And we'll go to that Sea Mountain topo or something like that. So you can get your banding a little bit different. We can move it around as far as where it starts and where it ends and that sort of thing as well. But there's a lot that we can do with that.
Dave, somebody asked, how do you vertically exaggerate the terrain model under view attributes?
You don't in basic MicroStation. How's that?
Okay, I think that's
Okay.
good. I mean, Oak, if you want to elaborate on that, he can.
Yeah, you're probably
himself.
thinking about like sections, creating a section and vertically exaggerating it.
No, it's. I thought it was just MicroStation 2, but ORD, I mean, they did a demo. Chuck did a demo on exaggerating your terrain, in case you want to see a little bit more of a, high point, low point, because most terrains are flat, especially on the East Coast.
Yeah.
But if you want to display it as vertical exaggeration, like 5:1, or and so forth,
The only
he
thing
was showing how to do that.
Well, there might be
It's
a
like on
scale
the view
factor. I've
attributes.
never tried it. And let's go ahead. Well, here's what I'll do. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off right here because this is a point cloud. All right. So let me come over here to my point clouds right there. And all right. And I'm going to turn the terrain back on. So over here, I've got my terrain right there. Okay. So this is the terrain. And as far as being able to vertically, you said you're doing it from from over here in the view attributes?
Yeah, yeah, it's somewhere down there under vertical exaggeration somewhere.
Yeah, that's got to be more of an ORD type of thing, I think.
It may be, yeah. Yeah, it may be because it was requested by some of the DOT because some of the terrain is flat. It's hard to tell where the highs and the lows are.
So I'm just trying to think of if there's any way that I could possibly do that here. And I don't recall ever running across anything like that. Now, doesn't mean that it isn't possible. It just means that I don't recall ever running around, ever actually seeing something like that. Okay, so I'm taking a look at this, and this is a scalable terrain. And I just don't know how to do it, man. If it's there, they hit it from me. So, and I'm thinking that that might be an ORD thing because that would make a lot of sense. So without going through shenanigans in MicroStation, don't think I could do it. Now, here's something that's kind of interesting about this type of terrain, and I'm going to turn a few things off. Okay, I'm going to turn the contours off right here. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so you can see what's going on. And this is scalable terrain. Scalable terrain is rather nifty stuff because it's very fast. Okay, and what happens with it is that it only reveals a particular amount of detail, and that amount of detail is dependent on your zoom factor in MicroStation. So if I'm a ways out like this, and you take a look at it, you can see, okay, yeah, I see some triangles there, but it's, you know, not too terribly dense. But as I zoom in, you'll notice that, oh, it becomes a little bit more detailed. I zoom in a little bit more, it becomes even more detailed until you're to a point where, you know, you've met the resolution. So that is a feature of scalable terrain. Now, that type of element, in order to actually make good use of that, you actually do need to be using Descartes. Okay, so that comes as a side load to MicroStation these days. To activate Descartes, you would have to pop up to the reality modeling. If you've got it loaded, and initially you'll get a dialog box out there, or not a dialog box, you'll have a button up there that says, you know, do you want to load it? It'll give you a dialog that says, hey, this is going to pull an extra license or an additional license, and then you can go ahead and continue with it at that point. But that is scalable terrain, and this will actually also display that way in like a smooth mode right here. Whoa, hey, that's a little bright. Let's pull that down a little bit. There we go. So when I'm back here, you know, not a lot of detail. Zoom in, you get a little bit more. So that is scalable terrain. All right. Well, guys, we can open it up for some general questions here. Is there anything else that anybody would like to take a look at?
I think we're good, Dave. Nobody has any questions. I appreciate you showing us some extra bonus material.
Oh, my pleasure.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining. We'll let you go and hopefully have you back sometime soon.
All right. Well, take care now.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.